Start. Continue. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. We will be discussing the Cloud Direct Routing for Microsoft Teams. We have on here Masergy and Marine Data Systems. Just letting you know, the Q&A is open. You can ask any questions throughout the presentation, and I will field them at the end for our engineers. So it is the little Q&A button with kind of like the text box. So feel free to type that in at any point. So the agenda today is pretty straightforward. We're going to be doing introductions to both MDS and Masergy, very high level, very quick, and then we're going to get started into the Microsoft Teams Cloud PBX solution. Jason Polche from Marine Data Systems will be showing you our solution and how it can be incorporated into your organization, and then we'll move on to the Microsoft Teams solution overview from Masergy, and this will be the bulk of the presentation. Okay. So starting off, I am the head of marketing here at MDS, so be taking you through a little bit of our backstory and why you would want to work with us. So we were founded in 1994 as a 100% women-owned business. We're headquartered in New York currently, but we do have branch offices in Florida, Texas, and Puerto Rico. So we do have a big presence here in the US, but also in Latin America and Caribbean. We have, about 75 now engineers and technology consultants. And then we're partnered with a ton of different industry leaders that help us and help our customers grow. Our four main practice areas are security and compliance, infrastructure, productivity and applications, and managed services. So today we're going to be focusing mainly on the infrastructure part of it, with a little bit of the productivity side. And of course, security and compliance is always at the forefront of our, our plans. So all of these solutions are secure and have the compliant component. This is just a high level view of our industry awards. We recently, just last week, released our 2 awards for Microsoft. We won both the award for the Bahamas and Jamaica. And last year, as you can see, we won a few awards for security and compliance from Microsoft. Because this is a Microsoft presentation, we did just want to let you know about our competencies. We have quite an array of them, including the collaboration and content, the security and compliance, and then the cloud productivity and cloud platform. So then Brian from Masergy is going to go over the Masergy overview.
Certainly. Well, thank you so much there. This is Brian Dean. I'm a Global Account Director for Masergy Communications. I'm based in the Philadelphia marketplace. Masergy as a company, we focus really in on 3 marketplaces. We started as a global MPLS provider 20 years ago, and we built out a greenfield MPLS environment that spans the globe. And what that means is every POP looks the same as the one next to it. Over the last 3 years, we've migrated more to an SD-WAN provider, and not just providing an SD-WAN solution, but also as the footprint of SD-WAN deployments reach out, we're also doing the security end of that and being able to provide a secure SD-WAN solution that includes next generation firewalls and the ability for us to take the alerts that are coming from the systems or the SD-WAN appliances and put those into our SOC, so we can outsource our SOC for customers that are looking to really enhance their security throughout the process. So really we focus in on the SD-WAN marketplace with security. 8 years ago, our customers were constantly coming to us and asking for SIP trunking and the ability to work and migrate to a hosted solution. At that point, we partnered up with a few different providers out there, the best in breeds, the 8x8s, the RingCentrals, the Mitels out there. And what we found was our customers were constantly asking us for a single bat to pat or throat to choke. And we then looked at all the different options that were out there, and we purchased a UCaaS company called Broadcore. Broadcore was a BroadSoft platform. BroadSoft had about 80% market share out there at that point. Since that time frame, Cisco has bought BroadSoft for about $2 billion, and we are now one of BroadSoft's largest, or Cisco's largest partners as far as UCaaS licenses as well as CCaaS licenses, and the ability for us to be able to deliver a global voice solution to 30 countries today. If you fast forward to today and why we're running a Microsoft Teams webinar, if we're such a big Cisco partner, it's because now we have direct connects into the Microsoft Teams and the ability that we can offer a complete redundant solution that is helping enterprises take advantage of the Microsoft Teams while helping them reduce cost. And the reason and the way that we're able to help them reduce cost is the ability that we do the Microsoft licensing of the SIP trunks somewhat different in the marketplace. We're not doing it by user count. We're not doing it by, how many users and that's how many SIP trunks. No, we're doing it by concurrent call paths and the ability for our customers to be able to deliver that on a per region basis. So when you look at it, it's a really a unique offering as far as the Microsoft Teams. And then finally, we do a full managed security solution. So the ability that we can do full outsourced SOC services, 24/7, eyes on glass, looking for anomalies that take place. And if you look at the marriage of it, we provide the network and the SD-WAN that marries into the security. And then the second portion is the UCaaS collaboration as well as contact center. And the ability to deploy not only the WebEx solutions, but also the Microsoft Teams solutions. We do that with a web portal that's second to none in the industry, and it's won 70 plus awards based on the visibility and control that we give to our clients. And then we wrap it up with the best customer experience out there. Our Net Promoter Score for the last 5 years has averaged over 70. That puts us best in breed, puts us with Toyota, American Express, Netflix, those types of companies that you think of as premier customer experience. And we do things a little bit uniquely because we tie our back office employees' compensation to that Net Promoter Score of staying at 70 or above. So from an organization, we can provide network, security, collaboration, best customer experience, and the ability to help you migrate to Microsoft Teams. We can go to the next slide. So we can do that on a global basis. So we cover, I said, 30 countries today. We can also regionalize services within our Microsoft Teams to be able to provide you just the amount of SIP trunks that you need throughout North America, and then be able to pull all those minutes together. The areas that we still have the challenges on is still South Africa or Africa in general, and some of the other tightly regulated markets, including China, India, and some of the others that are out there.
Thank you, Brian. So we're going to move on to the Microsoft Teams Cloud PBX solution. Jason Polche from MDS is going to be leading this section.
All right, thank you, Sam. Yeah, so Jason Polche, I lead the infrastructure team here at Maureen Data Systems. I've been here for roughly 10 years, maybe 11 years or so. So, obviously we've seen a very vast change in technology over the course of that decade. With the pandemic that's been going on, right, we've seen a huge shift towards remote and secure work. So a lot of people working from home, not in the offices anymore. And Teams has really been our go-to application for solving those collaboration needs, during the crisis that's been ongoing. Sam, can you advance one slide? Thanks. So yeah, so some quick stats on Teams, right? So right now it's at roughly 44 million, unique users per day actively using the app. These aren't just users that have licenses assigned to them, right? These are actively signed in users. And about 1,000% increase in video calls and a 200% increase in meetings. So, I mean, we can attest to this, right? Our meetings from a minutes perspective, from an organizational wide perspective, and this is one of the great things about Teams, you can get all these stats very easily from their call quality and their reporting platform, have increased vastly, right? So we are seeing a huge increase in consumption from our Teams platform. All of our chat is done in this application. All of our meetings are conducted in this application, including the one you're on, right? And all of our PSTN calling as well has been migrated to Microsoft Teams. So we were very easily able to transition from an office environment to a work from home environment when the pandemic hit. And the Teams app really lets you consume and collaborate all of your corporate resources anywhere you are, right? So that is one of the highlights of this solution. So again, right, what does Microsoft Teams deliver? I'm sure most of the people on this call, right, have used Teams in some sort of capacity. Obviously, Office applications, content, meetings, PSTN calling, which is really the focus of this webinar, as well as file sharing and collaboration. So really your one-stop shop, your hub for all of your different collaboration between your different business units. So one of the big key points here, obviously, data is stored securely in the cloud. There's nothing that's stored locally on the endpoint. So whether you're working from home, in your office, or from a hotel, et cetera, you're on the road, everything is secure under your compliance and your corporate policies through Office 365. Everything's centralized, making the management and the security of the application very easy to both manage and deliver to your employees. So the chat piece, right? So there's two big pieces within the chat on Microsoft Teams. I'll go through this really quick, right? One-on-one chats and then group chats, and then also the Teams channels. So depending on how your organization interacts throughout your different departments, this is probably the most utilized piece of the Teams client, right? Everyone will go to the chat piece first, and then escalate to a phone call or a meeting, right? If you need to break that out into a larger conversation. So again, all the chats can be logged, they can be documented, they can be archived on the back end, depending on what your policy is. It can be disabled if you have a compliance policy that says you can't have any kind of documented or recorded chat conversations, right? So you can get very granular with the security controls here. And then the next piece are the meetings, which piggyback off the PSTN services. So the meetings have an add-on service called audio conferencing, right? So the audio conferencing service allows dial-in bridges through the PSTN. So if you don't have a Teams client, if you just wanted to join via your cell phone, through the regular PSTN or from a landline, you have the ability to do so without having to log into the Teams meeting app. Obviously, with the Teams meeting app, you get a much better experience. You can screen share, you can collaborate on documents, etc. More of those, or it's a much better experience for the end user. But the audio conferencing does deliver the PSTN integration from the meeting side of things. It's all cloud-based. It's all delivered by Microsoft, right? And it gives you that ability to integrate third-party type devices into the cloud. And then also from a video standpoint, there's cloud video interop services out there. There's a whole bunch of them. I'm not going to name every single one. Polycom, for example, has one that's really our go-to solution on the cloud video interop. But they give you the ability to take on-premise video devices, so Cisco endpoints, old Polycom or BlueJeans third-party type video endpoints, and integrate them into the Microsoft Teams experience, so you can leverage your existing investment with the new Teams solution. And then last but not least is the cloud PBX portion. So this is a fully functional PBX that's natively hosted in Microsoft's cloud. So some of the advantages to that, right? There are no patching or updates you have to push out. There's no infrastructure you have to manage. The only thing that you really need to consume this is a license and then the Teams endpoint. So we do recommend a headset, for any of your Teams calls. It makes the experience for the end user and for the people joining the meetings a whole lot better from a call quality and video perspective. But as far as the traditional PBX features, everything is really there, right? So there are full-blown auto attendants. You can scale these things. You can nest them into each other. Incorporate music on hold. Whatever you want to do that you have, on premise today with your auto attendants can be converted into the Microsoft Teams auto attendants. So the call queues is another interesting piece. It's basically a light version of a call center. It doesn't have full call center capabilities. So, for example, you can queue up callers. You can play messages while they're queued up. You can direct them to agents based on various hunting mechanisms, but you cannot barge into calls or auto call record. Those require the integration of third-party tools, which I believe Masergy will cover as part of their deck as well. So again, this is the value that Masergy brings to the Teams platform, or the integration with the call center pieces and this direct routing piece, which we'll cover in this slide and the next slide. Obviously, cloud voicemail, right? You can go back some real quick. Cloud voicemail. So the biggest thing here is it's integrated unified messaging, so that voicemail shows up in your inbox. So you get an attachment with the WAV file, and you also get a transcription of that email. So if you're on the road and you can't log in and click on things, if you're receiving emails through Bluetooth or something like that, you could have it read that actually voicemail message to you through your phone. And then make and receive calls anywhere in the world, right? So when you get or when you are assigned a license for a Teams phone system, there are two ways to consume this again, right? So there's direct routing, and then there's the cloud calling plans. So the cloud calling plans is basically Microsoft is your PBX provider. They give you a set amount of minutes per user. They're pooled in a big tenant. And as you make and receive phone calls, they act as your basically as your Verizon or telco provider, where they make all those phone calls, all that routes through their data centers. So they control all of your direct dials, all the auto attendants call queues, all of that is managed through the Teams administrative portal. On the direct routing side of things, and really where Masergy brings a lot of value as well, is the direct routing integration using concurrent call paths. So this really wins in areas that don't have coverage for calling plans, cloud calling plans, based on some sort of compliance within that country or region, or also companies with large amount of users that don't want to assign individual calling plans per user. So the individual calling plans do add up, right? They're about $12 per user per month. So when you get into the hundreds or thousands of users, that can quickly balloon into a very big cost. Direct routing gives you basically a SIP trunk to either your on-premise phone equipment, so you can manage this in your own environment, or to a hosted provider like Masergy, where they give the phone lines to you, they deliver them to you, and you can say, hey, for 1,000 users, I only need 100 phone lines, so you only pay for what you use. You don't have to assign a call plan for every user. So that's where the big pro of the direct routing comes in. You can go to the next slide, Sam. So again, just the overview of what we just kind of went through, right? So phone system with calling plan, phone system with carrier provided direct routing. So in the left side, right, with the cloud calling plans, this is where Microsoft is your phone provider. They give you your direct dial. You can port numbers to them. Everything's maintained and managed through the Office 365 portal. And on the right side of things is direct routing, where either through a session border control on SBC in your local premises tied into your existing PBX equipment, or through a cloud provider like Masergy, you can use a direct routing SIP trunk to provide calling services to all your users as well. So, MDS has a whole slew of offerings, proof of concepts, pilots. If you have any questions on the calling side of things, on integrating this with your existing deployment, or if it's a new deployment, we'd be happy to help. You could reach out to us either through chat or after this. You reach out to Sam directly, and she could put you in touch with the account manager, and we can definitely help you guys if there's any questions or pilots, demos, etc. that you guys wanted to see on that. I think that's it. Yep. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jason. So now we're going to move on to the bulk of the presentation for Masergy, and Anthony Ventura is going to be leading the presentation.
Thank you, Samantha. Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony Ventura. I'm the Collaboration Product Specialist here at Masergy, supporting the Northeast. And we'll go over today our MS Teams Direct Route solution. Jason touched on it a little bit, so I'll go into it more in depth. Next slide, please. And apologies, everyone. I do see a little bit of delay, so if I do tend to stall here, it's because I'm waiting for the next slide. Thank you. So on the screen here, these are the traditional business drivers for why customers go to Cloud PBX, right? You have an aging system on-prem. You want to reduce costs, get rid of the old traditional PRIs, minimize complexity, or any device anywhere, right? These are traditionally what have been the drivers. But with the advent of COVID-19, we've seen a large influx now of everyone working remote, and MS Teams has been the go-to collaboration tool for cloud telephony. And this is where Masergy has come in and really made it cost effective in terms of how we can help customers reach that ability, right? And making it very cost effective. Next slide, please, Sam. And again, I'll just talk because I know what the next slide talks to is, as Jason pointed out, if you're going to use Microsoft directly for their dial plans, it can be costly depending on which license you have. So if you're on an E5 license, it's an additional $35 to go from an E3 to an E5 to enable that telephony. If you're, for instance, on an E3, you still need to purchase that $8 telephony license to enable that PBX. But on top of that, now you need PSTN connectivity, and it could be $12 to $22 per user, depending on which call plan you need, whether it's domestic or international. And then also, if you're a multi-global company, they can only really reach 9 countries. And these are some of the limitations that you may encounter, let's say, if you go with Microsoft Teams. So we'll go quickly into where Masergy brings in that added value. Next slide, Samantha, please. Masergy takes the approach where we do a SIP connectivity, direct route connectivity, into Microsoft's environment. We do it where the SBC or gateway is not on premise. It's within our data center, fully managed by Masergy. And we also build it on a concurrent call path basis, meaning you don't need to buy a license for everyone to have PSTN dial plans. We can right size. For an example, if you have 1,000 users, knowledge workers, you would only need 300 concurrent call paths to support those users. And on top of that, we come with resiliency, right? So now our platforms are built within the Masergy network, which Brian touched upon. So it's built in within the fiber of our network. We also have redundancy. We have dual data centers on the East and West Coast, Virginia and California in the US. And each data center has dual SBCs going out into PSTN. So there's platform resiliency. And we could also do site resiliency. So in other words, if for some reason, let's say Microsoft has a server upgrade, everyone goes down, we can do a call redirect. So we can redirect incoming calls so you don't lose those calls. We can do a predetermined call plans to redirect those calls to another location. We could also do that right size approach, take it one step further. And let's say your current call paths are 300 call paths, but you need more because you're seasonal in nature and you need some additional call paths, for instance, during the busy seasons, let's say Christmas, for instance, or the holidays. You can call Masergy support and say, hey, I need an additional 100 call paths to support this season. We can do that, and the turnaround time to add those ports is less than 30 minutes. Then you can call us back and say, hey, you know what? I want to go back to my additional. I want to throttle back. We can do that for you. Again, same amount of time, and you would only be charged prorated for the amount of days that you had those additional call paths. Next slide, please. Masergy also offers, and this is what's unique within our platform, is we do the hybrid approach, meaning that we can take your current on-premise PBX, hybrid it, and connect it to the Microsoft Teams users while keeping everyone on net, number one, and number two, doing things like private dial plans. So, for instance, with the advent of COVID-19, we have some customers that, for instance, spent a lot of money for an on-premise equipment. It's only at 30% capacity because most of the workforce now is working from home. They only have 30% of the users coming back into the office. So instead of saying, hey, we want to be able to use that because we spent a lot of money maybe a year or two ago on that investment, we can help customers utilize their on-premise equipment and still migrate users to the cloud while keeping everyone interconnected in the back. And we do this on our platform. Next slide, please. Also, we mentioned we have global presence. We're in 25 plus countries where we can do DID porting for Microsoft Teams. So we can support any global initiative that you may have. So we can do countries like Germany, France, just to name a few, Japan, Singapore. So if you're global in nature, we can support you on a global basis, where there's some providers like even Microsoft themselves, right? They can only do 9 countries, but we can reach out to 25 countries globally. Next slide, please. And again, on this slide, we just want to give you a high-level overview of what we bring in terms of benefits, the right size approach to make it cost-effective, flexible calling plans. Again, I mentioned how you can throttle up and down if needed, right? And a whim, our hybrid approach. And more importantly, we do bring in cost savings. We're about 50 to 75% less than using a per user per calling plan basis. And I've done multiple ROIs for multiple companies, and it's been a 50 to 75% in savings. Next slide, please. And what I touched upon up until now is our direct route approach with using our concurrent call path SIP basis. Masergy is also working on, which is due to be released in the end of September, where our own hosted UCaaS is going to have an API integration with Microsoft Teams. So if you have some knowledge workers, which are power users, that need a more robust PBX features, we can support that, and we can integrate our hosted UC, carrier grade PBX within Microsoft Teams through an API integration. So for an example, if you're on an E3 license, no need to purchase anything else. There's no $8 fee needed to buy the additional telephony license. We integrate completely into an E3 license. It would be here, just as you see it on the screen. It's the dialer that would be embedded, and you can use our PBX features to make outdial PSTN calling. Again, call center features, ACD routing. There's no need to purchase a third party to do call recording. It's all done natively within the Masergy UCaaS. And this is coming, we're looking at the end of September to have this enabled.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
And I think we're at the Q&A. Thank you.
Yes. So let me check Q&A. So yes, if anyone has any questions, you can just put it into the chat box there. We also will be sending out an email with any follow-up information and the presentation in PDF form, so you can run through the different things that we talked about. And I'll also be sending you the one-pager that Masergy created, co-branded for us, that shows the direct routing capabilities. It doesn't look like there's any questions, but of course, if you come up with one, you think about it later after I send the email out to everyone, you can definitely reply to me, and I can get in touch with the engineers Anthony and Jason to discuss the questions. And feel free to visit either website about our capabilities. So we want to thank you for your time today, and we hope everyone will be safe and healthy. So thank you again.